Hey everybody, welcome to episode 45. In this episode, I think I'm going to talk about, it's kind of not really obscure. I mean, people might know what it is, but I'm talking about a movie from the 80s. It was a movie that I loved as a kid. I saw it in the theater, um, and I watched it, I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. Maybe not 1,000, but pretty close to that. Um, I don't know, for some reason it hits me every time I watch it. I love everything about it. It was one of those classic stories, especially for a Star Wars kid like myself in the 80s. You couldn't ask for a better movie, really. Um, I better tell you what the movie I'm talking about. So the movie I'm talking about, of course, is The Last Starfighter. And my only two Last Starfighter things I have, I do have the storybook. And again, you know the drill in these storybooks. Again, I got this. This is not the copy that I had, but I did get the copy as well through my Scholastics book fair at school. I believe I got it in the 6th grade Scholastic book fair. The movie came out in '84 in July, I think. I know it came out in the summer, right around my birthday. I was just out of 5th grade, and I saw this in the theater. I believe I saw it at the Winchester Mall. And I think I saw it by myself. I think, again, after the Dark Crystal, which I don't know if that was before or after this, I can't remember, but after the Dark Crystal, my dad was kind of like, Tim, I can't sit through these movies you want to watch. He goes, and I don't want to waste a ticket, waste money on a ticket, although the tickets at the time were $1.50 for a matinee show. So he would just drop me off at the theater, and I would watch the movie. And this was before cell phones, so I just came out of the movie theater, and he either was there waiting for me, or I just hang around the mall a little bit until he picked me up. Now the Winchester Mall wasn't very big, so it's not like you could get lost pretty easily. He knew I'd be if I wasn't at the movie theater, he knew I'd be in one of 2-3 places. There was JK Toys. I would be there. I would be at the Fireside Bookstore. I'd be at Things. I talked about Things. That was also in the mall. That was tell you the truth, that mall hit all the buttons as a kid. You really didn't need to go out to Lakeside. You had a toy store, a bookstore, it had comics and books, what have you. There was even a music store in there. It was called the tape, records and tapes. Music Barn? I can't remember. The guy that owned it was really odd. He kind of looked like Moe from Larry, Moe and Curly. He had one of those old, beat-up, reclining rocking chairs that he would sit in there, and it was just a weird kind of a store. And he was really kind of a jerk, and he really didn't have a good tape collection or, record collection at the time. So I didn't really go in there that much. I want to say it was called the Record Barn. I can't remember what that was called. It was kind of down one of the weird hallways that there wasn't much there. And so music, I guess, if you wanted music, really, and you were at the Winchester Mall, all you had to do was just go straight over to Kmart, was right next door, and you just walk outside the mall, go right to Kmart. Kmart had a really good music department at the time. Plenty of records, plenty of record singles, and plenty of tapes. Sears and Kmart had great music departments as a kid. Back in the 80s. That was where you'd go if you didn't go to a dedicated record store. So, and did they have an arcade? They had an arcade at Winchester Mall, but a long time ago, and I only have fragment memories of that arcade. I remember it had a really high ceiling, so it leads me to believe that it was in back, down one of the, I think I know where it was. I think Things actually ended up moving into that space. There was the movie theater, which only had two theaters, two theaters at the time, and then next to it, I believe there was an ice cream shop, and then there was there's just this room that it had a high ceiling because it was on par with the movie theater, and you went up these stairs to the right, and then there was where Things was for the most of the time. But when Things dropped down and moved into that section, Things had the really high ceiling, and I'm pretty sure that's where the arcade was. And this would have been way back in the day. I mean, I don't remember going to the Winchester Mall arcade past 1979, maybe 1980. Because, in 81, 82, 83, and 83 I spent a lot of time there. 80, and actually up to 86 I spent a lot of time there all the way up in high school, but they didn't have, they never had the arcade there. So it was kind of missing that element. Meadowbrook Mall had a little bit more going on because they had, although Meadowbrook Mall is kind of the opposite. They had a movie theater there, one theater, and it was around the corner. It was in a really weird spot, and I remember seeing I think I saw Condor Man there once when it first came out. If you remember the movie Condor Man, I saw that at the Meadowbrook movie theater, and it was really weird. I don't even think they had a concession stand. They literally had the box office, and then a door, and then the hallway, and at the end of the hallway was the theater, and it may have had a concession stand, but I don't remember a concession stand. And like I said, Condor Man, and I think that was the only movie I can remember seeing at Meadowbrook Mall. So Meadowbrook Mall had the arcade, had Aladdin's Castle, and it was on the other end of town. So I had 2 malls in Rochester. There really wasn't a reason to leave the city of Rochester back in the day. You didn't really need to go to Oakland Mall or Lakeside Mall or go anywhere else. You pretty much had everything there in town, somewhere in town, But, sorry, got off on a tangent again. So yeah, I went and saw The Last Starfighter with, hold up the book, I'll hold up the CD too, just so I can kind of have these 2 little, you can see that okay? Alright. But the windows always gives a lot of light, but sometimes it washes things out too much, so I like the natural light as opposed to artificial light. And again, I'm going to put a mat. There's going to be a light, a floor light, if I can fit it behind this desk, right behind the camera there, which will give a little bit more light over here. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, back to this movie. So when this movie came out, I saw it in the theater in July, in 1984, just out of 5th grade. Oh, sorry. And then going into 6th grade, that's when I got the novelization for it. But not the novelization, the storybook. Because, to me, this is about the extent of I could read at the time. I couldn't read the novelization until much later on. But it's not to say I don't want it. Now, I'm going to show you. I found the novelization on thrift books. They have an acceptable copy. And I also would like the soundtrack. And I looked on Discogs, and man, the soundtrack is going for crazy money. So, what's up with that? Maybe it's just very rare. That's what I'm assuming. It's like going for more than the Transformers the movie soundtrack or Heavy Metal the movie soundtrack. 2 other movies I got to do videos on, by the way. But yeah, those. I was just shocked to see how much that was. But back to this movie. So yeah, I walked out of the theater and I was just like, oh, I love this movie. I want to see it again. And I don't think I saw it in the theater again then. I know I saw it on, eventually it came out on cable. And we got cable in 80, well, we had cable then, but it obviously didn't air on cable yet. So, and then when I eventually got it on videotape, I didn't buy the actual VHS for it. I taped it off cable, and once it showed on cable and I recorded it, I think I recorded it on Betamax first once it was available on cable, and then, either Showtime or HBO, and then recorded it on VHS, and that's pretty much the tape that I would watch all the time, would be the dub from TV. So yeah, and again, not getting super spoiled. Spoilers, whatever. At least it's an old movie. I'm not really spoiling any for you. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what it is. But it was like the perfect story of a young guy, older than me at the time, but a young guy, from, pretty modest means, as you can see as they talk about him, and I'll show the trailer for it. I don't want to show the movie per se, but I'll show the trailer for it. The other reason why is I don't have they didn't come with the DVD for this Blu-ray, and I don't have my Blu-ray hooked up to my computer, so I'll just show you I'll just go to YouTube and just show you the video. You can always, if you don't want to watch me talk about it, you can always stop the video and go find it yourself. But they have a couple of different ones, but I'll show the one I pulled up. But yeah, I mean, this is also before I moved into the trailer park, because we didn't move into the trailer park. My dad moved into his trailer park in 1985. Yeah, no, 1986. Winter of 1986. So it was essentially 85, 86. When I was in 7th grade at West Junior High. And then my mom ended up moving into her trailer park. His and her trailer park. So anyways, again, I tell you, right, the winter break of 1986, 1987, when I started at Ruther, because I had to switch schools. But believe it or not, though, I should make a whole video on being a trailer park kid, especially during high school. But trailer parking, I don't know. I wouldn't wish it on a child, because there's a lot of negative things that happen, especially to a young boy. Maybe not a young girl so much, but definitely a young boy as far as coming from a trailer park. But there are a lot of benefits. Now, oddly enough, the apartment that my mom lived in, which is this part of a rented house downtown Rochester, was a shithole pretty much. I mean, I have fond memories of being there, but it was not a good place to have a kid there, and especially when my sister was home from college, to have 3 people in this tiny. I mean, my apartment here is not very big. It's a 1-bedroom, and mine's a palace compared to this place, and it's tiny little cramped, old, part of a house. So what I'm saying is, when we moved to the trailer park, I thought I was moving to to Beverly Hills. I mean, that was like something, like, wow, oh my gosh, I've got my own room. I sort of had a room at that little room, but it's like I got my own room. We've got, we're not right on top of each other. There's space in this single, and we just had a single. So with my dad, he only has a single too. And I remember even that too before my mom moved in. It's like, oh, I wanted to go out to my dad's and stay because I had my own room out there. Well, that room wasn't that great at my dad's trailer. I didn't really do much to it, but it's like I had so much more room out there at my dad's house or my dad's trailer. So I can relate later on, once I saw this movie later on after I moved into the trailer park. But I didn't really catch it so much when I first watched it. I mean, I knew we lived in a trailer. And the weird thing about the trailers they had in this movie is it wasn't really like a mobile home park. It was more like literally like a camper trailer. At least that's what it looked like. They called it a trailer park. They had an office where the cool arcade game was at, the Last Starfighter game, and and there's a trailer park manager, the one guy in there, and everything. So it had all of the dressings of a trailer park. It's just I believe there were more like trailers, and I think it's because it took place in California. And I've never been to this part. I've only been to one part of California, and I'm assuming that that's just kind of how maybe trailer parks were then. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm really dwelling on the trailer park thing. So anyways, it's about this, kid who, young guy, essentially a kid who escapes this trailer park and goes to another galaxy, I mean, it was, you want to talk about escapism, and you want to talk about getting out of your life back in the 80s, I mean, it spoke to me. It's like, I mean, I wanted out of the trailer park. I wanted to go on adventures, and I wanted to have this life. He had this. I'll show you the girl in the video. His girlfriend, Mags. Oh, I was in love with her. But which is oddly enough, she's the girl from Night of the Comet. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but remember I was talking about those cards, the Marvel Universe cards and the She-Hulk card. I swear that the artist based him off the actress that plays Mags, because she just looks so much like her in the face, but it's probably just coincidence. But I always thought that when I saw it, it's like, why does that look? Who's that look like? And I watched Last Starfighter, and I was like, oh, that's who that looks like. But anyways, he essentially, and then all the old people were constantly after him to, do all the work and stuff around there, and he had all these responsibilities. I don't know, it was one of those, he didn't want to go to community college. There's just so many, things about it that kind of echoed in my life, So, it really spoke to me. There's really, I watch movies with young kids in them today and stuff, and none of them really, none of them, I never had that kind of life. Everybody's either got this picture perfect life, or they have what's considered the low class, or the trashy life, and it's nothing, it's still, that's still the life of a celebrity compared to, it's Hollywood thinking that they know what real hardship is, and trust me, I know what real hardship is. I didn't have it, super bad. I wasn't, I wasn't living like in an inner city, with, gunfire flying over me every 5 seconds. I can't relate to that world. But as far as, low class, suburban life, I can relate to that pretty well. Especially with parents who are destitute, pretty much. So, yeah, so this movie really speaks to that, and again, the storybook, until I had the movie, it was the only way to see those scenes from the movie. They didn't have trading cards for this movie, and oddly enough, at least to the best of my knowledge, oh, yeah, there's Mags there. Oh, she's beautiful. They didn't have any action figures, which is kind of weird, because as far as a movie, it's toyetic. Last Starfighter was very toyetic. Essentially, I know they're playing off the whole everybody loves Star Wars thing. I guess you really, at the end of the day, can't say that for every science fiction movie that comes out after Star Wars. You can't say, oh, they all want to be Star Wars. It's like, no, some movies aren't Star Wars. I guess this one is sort of Star Wars in the fact that, Luke goes, leaves his, farm and goes, to, has all these adventures and stuff. And I guess that's sort of the Star Wars arc in this as well. And there's an Empire, and then this one there's the Kodan Armada. So I guess, yeah, I guess this one's more like Star Wars, but you can't say that for every science fiction, story or movie that comes out after Star Wars. And a lot of people seem to say that everything's Star Wars. It's like, no, just Star Wars didn't create science fiction. Obviously, Star Wars was playing off of Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, all the other classic serials and stuff. It was just the only one that did that good of a job at that specific time. So, if anything, this movie is probably the closest to Star Wars in the fact that I was just talking about. But, definitely it was different. So, let me play you the trailer here. Like I said, I'll give you some little bit of commentary here as I play it. So you got it all queued up. Switch over. Like I said, this is just off of YouTube. It's the Last Starfighter 84 original trailer. It's probably the first thing that'll pop up if you look that up. But make sure my volume's good. We're good there. There it is.
Alex Rogan lives in a small trailer park in the California mountains. He has a dream to go to college.
You guys think I'm gonna hang out here, watch you shine your pickup? Forget it, man. I'm doing something with my life.
Start a career.
There she
You
is.
really are leaving here, aren't you?
Of course I'm going away. We're both going away.
Both of us, Alex.
And most of all, to get out.
Get your chance. All the thing is, when it comes, you gotta grab it with both hands.
Then, one night, a mysterious stranger offers Alex an opportunity he never dreamed of.
Who are you?
I'm Centauri, and you may... No, you must trust me implicitly. Get in.
Nothing Alex Rogan has ever imagined could prepare him for what he is about to experience.
Hey!
Why was Alex chosen? And will he ever return?
Where are we going?
Trust me. Oh, you're gonna love it. Love it.
Look out!
Oh, dear.
again, I just want to pause it here. This was outside of Tron. I think if you watch there's a making of this movie that was a featurette on the DVD, and I believe it's a featurette on here as well. A featured commentary. No, they didn't put the featurette on here. I used to have the DVD, and I know the featurette had it on it. It's by the actor. He kind of, the main actor, the guy there, Alex Rogan. I can't remember what his name is either. But he goes, or he does this, like, you know, the making of, and they really talk about all of the computer effects, because this movie basically took what Tron, the computer effects from Tron, and they, you know, just kind of, they also had to build a lot of their own technology, and they kind of one-upped Tron as far as the digital effects. So just want to point that out, because you'll probably see that in this.
The Last Starfighter. His adventure in space is about to begin.
Coming summer of '84. Okay, so it wasn't the best trailer, but it kind of gives you a little taste of it. Didn't have any of the space stuff actually in it, but like I said, because there's a what do you call it? They show the Kodan Armada, and you know, give me just a second here. I know I'm not editing these, so you got to bear with me, but I just want to see real quick. Yeah, they also call it a cult. It is a cult hit. Just want to see if this one. Let's try this trailer real quick. I'm just going to skip forward into it a little bit, because I think it might give you a little bit more of the scenes from the beyond the trailer.
Get your chance. And you go.
And the frontier gets sore, and the frontier gets sore, and the Kodan Armada.
And then, one night,
Centaurus, the
that,
name,
yada, yada.
matter of team cup.
Oh, here we go.
Where are we? Welcome to Rylos, my boy.
a world on the brink of destruction.
You were recruited by the Starloop to
defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
Of all the life forms, on all the planets, in all the galaxies.
Oh my god!
Oh, Max.
One has been chosen. Alex Rogan.
Alex?
Max
Is the last Starfighter. For every Earthling who's ever imagined traveling beyond the stars,
There is a Starfighter left.
I love you, Alex Rogan.
comes the unforgettable story of one who made it. The last Starfighter.
See, they just don't make movies like that anymore. I know it's such an old guy thing to say. It's definitely a cliche, but it's true. They don't make movies like this anymore. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you want to talk about the ultimate, you know, young adolescent male power fantasy. I mean, this was the movie. I mean, this takes all of the, you know, like the Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff, where you take the, you know, the Ponce, you know, professor, human guy, you know, from Earth, and, you know, and transform him to, you know, Pellucidor type of thing. You know, you get that whole thing. So you get the, you know, the normal kid from Earth. You know, again, to me, he wasn't a kid. To me, he was an adult. He's supposed to be a teenager at the time. You know, just graduating high school, and just like, or maybe he's just like maybe he's 19, 20. But I know that's a kid today, but back then that wasn't a kid. That was an adult to me. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's what all of those science fiction books of the time, those science fantasy or whatever they wanted to call them, books back in the day. You know, the Moon Maid, you know, Pellucidor, you know, the John Carter movies. You know, like, you know, got those books coming myself. All of that was this, and this story was pretty much that. You know, I mean, Star Wars was, it was about a similar story, but Star Wars took place in its own universe. It didn't have and they taught, a long time ago in a big galaxy far, far away. It's pretty vague, but it definitely wasn't Earth. And they, even they looked human. They didn't really, I don't even think they even refer to Star Wars as being human characters. But anyways, this was the human transport him into the fantasy world. And, like I said, he didn't have, he had a pretty hot girlfriend at the time, he was a smart kid. He probably had a bright future on his hands, so he really, came from the trailer park, and they talk it down too, like, oh, he's just another kid from a trailer park, and it's weird the negative connotations and that whole thing. I lived with that, so all of that stuff, it's a perfect movie. I mean, I think it's a perfect movie. I mean, there's only so many, perfect movies. A lot of them seem to be in the 80s. Last Starfighter was one of them. I mean, sure, the special effects look dated now, and they, but that was groundbreaking technology at the time. And look what CG became. I hate CG now. I mean, back then I thought that was the coolest thing since sliced bread. Now if I see CG, I can't stand CG. I'd rather see practical effects. So, seeing it, it's weird, the progression, but yeah, like I said, the starship battles, the bad guys with the cool red guys, with the Coda and Armada guys with the, he has this like visor thing, and at the very end, they're going to crash the ship, and the ship's going to be destroyed. What do we do? And we die. I couldn't find that scene, but I love that scene. And his friend Greg, I think his name's Greg. It looks a lot like the Louis Gossett Jr. character in Enemy Mine, but anyways, he's pretty funny in it too. He's got like kind of a Rodney McDowell-esque voice. It's not Rodney McDowell, but he has that kind of like, oh my, kind of voice. And he does this. I really said it because I got my son doing it too. It's like, there's a line where he says, somebody comes up and asks him, one of the humans at the end, they meet the alien. How do you do? I do well. And he always does that laugh. I got my son doing that laugh too. I think my son's seen this movie once so far. But he liked it, but it didn't have the effect on him that, it did for me. And that's weird because my son hates movies. I don't know if he hates movies. He loves horror, which I did too when I was a kid, but you can't get him to sit down and watch a movie. It's like, hey, it's Friday night. It's movie night. Let's watch a movie. I don't want to watch a movie. Anything more than like a 20-minute clip on YouTube, he doesn't want to watch it. Maybe a half an hour episode of something, he'll watch it. He'll sit there and watch five episodes of a cartoon back to back, whether it's, I can't remember what he's watching there for a while. Now he was watching South Park or stuff like that, and it's just like, he'll sit there and watch that 5 episodes back to back, which is essentially the length of a movie, but he won't sit through a movie. It's hard to get him to sit through a movie. He was for a while. Like I said, I believe he saw this one. He hasn't seen every one of my favorite movies as a kid, but yeah, you can't get kids to see that. And like I said, going to see movies in the theater, they're just kind of, I mean, it was such a treat as a kid, such a treat being dropped off by yourself, which, I probably wouldn't do with my son. Or maybe I would. I probably wouldn't leave the mall, though. I would, but I'll probably go see all the movies. It wasn't like my dad. My dad, was from a different generation. I mean, my dad's not even a boomer. My dad's the lost generation. My mom was a boomer, but my dad was lost generation, so he was so far removed from any of this stuff. I mean, he kind of liked it, sort of. He liked just spending time with me as a kid, but, he thought all this stuff was just stupid. He was just like, oh, God, this stuff's so dumb. He didn't like science fiction. He didn't like fantasy. He didn't like any of that stuff. He just thought it was boring and stupid. My dad was all westerns and, what do you call it? He loved The Untouchables. It was all westerns and like mafia movies and stuff like that. Godfather, I think, was one of his favorite movies. You know, so and he loved sports. So he was a completely different mindset from me. You know, I think I related more on that level with people like obviously my sister. My mom wasn't into this stuff. I mean, my mom was into, I don't know, mom really didn't click with me very well. My sister liked a lot of this stuff, but my Uncle Bob, you know, people like that, other guys' dads, you know, seemed to be more into it than I was, or than my dad was. So, like I said, me and my dad had a weird relationship growing up, very strange relationship. You know, I hope that I don't have that. Obviously, I have a completely different relationship with my son, so I don't know why I got on this big long tangent. But, yeah, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. I wanted to pop over and show you, sorry. This dual screen thing is cumbersome sometimes. People make it look so effortless on their channels and stuff like that, but me, it's just like, I'm like, where's the mouse? Can't see it. What screen's it on? Blah, blah, blah. Alright, let's flip over to, let's go to Discogs. Here, I want you to see this. This is, so you don't know that I'm, you know, full of shit. I'm telling you the truth. So I just looked up, and there's only one you know, if there is multiple listings, but then they all take you to the same page if you look up vinyl. There's a few from other countries, but most of them are from the United States. And so they're all in U.S. dollars. But look at this crazy. This is insane. This one's really, I mean, sorry, that one's not really nuts. There's one of them that's insane. But, okay, so here's the soundtrack. To show you a picture of it. So there's the LP. I Want It. The Last Starfighter soundtrack. And... 1984, very good plus, which usually means pretty much close to, close to mint as possible. I think there might be some creasing. Some of them, I thought I did see one here with an unopened one. That may be the one that was astronomically priced. Oh yeah, right here. LP is still sealed. Minor shelfware on corners, ready to ship. $120. I mean, come on. Is it that rare? You know, is it that? I mean, that's insane. $125.99 at the door with shipping. That's crazy. I mean, that's more than. I mean, you can get the heavy metal soundtrack goes for a lot. I've seen them. That one goes for like $35, $40, $50, even like $60. Nothing in the hundreds. The Transformers the movie soundtrack, I think I saw a pretty decent copy on there for like $30 or $25. It was like a very good. I was thinking about grabbing that one. And those two soundtracks are pretty, sought after. You know, there's more. I mean, there's more. It's more rock and heavy metal and stuff on those. This one's specifically just a score, but yeah, it goes for crazy money. So I don't think I'm going to be getting... I put it in my wish list just in case it goes on sale, but I don't think I'll be getting this soundtrack anytime soon. Sorry, I'm yawning. It's, like I said, it's Monday. Well, it's Monday for me. It's probably Friday for you guys. But I finished most of my work for the day. I got a little bit more to do here after I'm done here, but... I got the yawnies again. Every time on a work day, first time of the day, 4 o'clock, yawn. Yeah. So I'm probably not going to get into the soundtrack. Now, on the other hand, Thrift Books has a copy. And remember, I was talking about all the novelizations were done by Alan Dean Foster. This one in particular was by Alan Dean Foster. And the thing I think is kind of goofy here is they show the hardcover, by Alan Dean Foster, the Last Starfighter storybook, which I have right here, which I did buy on Thrift Books, as you can see. Again, I wish Thrift Books would stop doing this, stop putting this sticker there. But I'm looking at the storybook, and the adaptation is by Lynn Haney. From the novel by Alan Dean Foster, based on the screenplay by Jonathan Batul. So maybe he So he does an adapts it. So maybe he does. Okay, so maybe some of the he kind of truncates it or abridges it from the actual. All right, well that would make sense because I look at them like, why does it say Alan Dean Foster for the storybook? I mean, like I said, I remember seeing the other name, but I already have it, and it's just like, okay, that's the hardcover, so I want the paperback, the full book. Oh, here, based. Oh, it's a screenplay right here. But I want the full book, but it's got that crease. I'm assuming this is the copy they're talking about. It says acceptable. I mean, that's cheap. I think that's charge like $1.50 for shipping. So you're getting it for about, $5. A little over $5. I may pull the trigger on this one, but I really don't like to. I really don't like to get anything that's less than good. Let's see. They give you a description. First edition. Well, that's good. First printing. Maybe another product. It's probably still a first edition. I don't think they probably reprint. They reprint. They make a ton of these for the bookstores right about the time the movie is released. Again, I like getting these before the movie, and then boom, it never comes back. They don't reprint it. It doesn't come back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So that's why they are kind of rare. But I think they make so many of them that it's not rare. And again, as far as today, I wish they would. I know they still make novelizations for movies, but the problem is all the movies that are coming out are shit. So I don't really care to get the novelization. Alan Dean Foster, I think he might be still alive. I don't know if he's still doing them, but yeah, I don't care. All these Marvel movies and all this MCU stuff, and all these things that are coming out, I don't care to go see. Let alone buy, all of the stuff. Like I said, there's 4 things I like to have on a movie that I love. I love to have it on some kind of format, whether it's DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. I would actually prefer DVD. I'd prefer Laserdisc, but I don't have a Laserdisc player, and actually I would prefer VHS copy just because I like the VHS, although I don't have a VHS player, and that's a whole nightmare into itself. But if you want to go the retro route, and you really want to go hardcore, old school, start watching your movies on VHS. But a DVD is fine. I mean, it essentially is a laser disc. It's just I like the laser disc because it looks like an album and it comes. I like all that stuff. But I'll take the DVD. Again, it doesn't have to be the Blu-ray. It doesn't have to be Ultra HD. I don't really care. Most DVDs look pretty darn good. They look a lot better than the VHS copies. But I like to have that. I like to have the novelization if I can get it. I like to have the soundtrack, and I like to have the storybook if they have it. And most of the storybooks, obviously storybooks are written for kids, so they're probably only going to do, they're not going to do rated R movies of storybooks. Although they did do the Ghostbusters storybook, which I have. I'll do a Ghostbuster video later. And that's kind of funny because, there's certain scenes in Ghostbusters. It's just funny how Ghostbusters came so kidified, but it's just like, there's some scenes in the movie that I don't think you should let your kids see. Well, maybe, my son, whatever, but I mean, if you're 6, 7, 8-year-old kid, I probably wouldn't let your kids see certain scenes in that movie. My son did. I don't know if he really knew what was going on in some of those scenes. But anyways, what are some other ones? Dune, I have a Dune storybook, and Dune got, but I mean, there's lots of scenes in Dune. Now, Dune didn't have anything necessarily super, sexual, but I mean, it didn't have a lot of swearing in it, but if it didn't have any swearing in it, really, but it had a lot of pretty eerie, grotesque scenes, it seemed to be a little, over the top for a kid, but maybe not. Maybe by this, it was then. Nowadays, kids, whatever, they've seen all that stuff. But, yeah. So I like to have those 4 things. Trading cards are always nice. A comic adaptation. You're talking the only movies like Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think there was actually, now that I think of it, there was a what do you call it? A Last Starfighter comic book. I believe it was from Marvel. I think it was one of the last of the Marvel super specials, I think. I've got a folder somewhere with all of the super specials in the CBR, and I think Last Starfighter was one of the last ones, one of the last Starfighters, last super specials. But no, I like to have those things for the movies that I love, and most of the movies that I love, obviously, are kind of come from the '80s. You know, there's a couple in the '90s that I kind of like. You know, I'm not a huge Jurassic Park fan, but I mean, it was okay. There's movies like that. There's movies like Starship Troopers I liked a lot. Um, you know, Independence Day I liked. There's a handful of movies from the '90s that I like, but every time I watch them, they just feel so '90s. I obviously watch something from the '80s and feel very '80s, but you know, I love the '80s. The '90s is just a weird in between point. You know, I've got fond memories of things that happened in the '90s, but '90s were just this weird. Talking about lost generation, it's like the lost decade. It was like, you know, it wasn't the wasn't the '80s. Sorry, it wasn't the '80s, um, and it wasn't the 2000s, the new millennium, because then you're thinking, oh, this, you know, things just seem to be different then. But the '90s was just this weird time for me. I mean, it was pretty much all of my 20s, and you know, I mean, I turned 20 in '93, you know, so, and of course, obviously, I turned 30 in 2003. But yeah, I mean, it's just a weird time for me. I even know 90 and 91 was, you know, pretty much my senior year in high school, or some of my junior year. But yeah, it's just a different time period. You know, I guess, I don't know. As I said, I have memories of it, but a lot of the pop culture and stuff from the '90s, I'm not really fond. I mean, Friends was okay. I mean, I love the X-Files. I like the X-Files. Is one thing I look forward to. You know, next Star Trek Next Generation went into the '90s, and like other ones like Deep Space Nine, which I wasn't a big fan of, but Voyager. So there were a few TV shows that were good, you know, in the '90s. But yeah, most of my stuff, especially stuff that I want, you know, all the stuff for is from from the '80s. Flash Gordon's one. I've got. I'll show you real quick here. I'm gonna go to my wish list. Yeah, so I put some of the stuff in. That one looks like a better copy, but that one's not available. It takes the same listing. It's weird. Crawl was a big one. Like I said, I'll probably try to do videos on most of these movies and give you my in-depth, you know, as much I guess as this video is, of these movies. Crawl was a big one, and that's right there. I think that's the movie. Yeah. Flash Gordon. There's the soundtrack. It's brand new. You can get that as a reissue. I'll probably get that at some point. The DVD, the storybook, and actually I might pull the trigger on the storybook because it's in good condition. It's $10.49. I think that qualifies for free shipping. You know, maybe throw it in with this here because this is also in good condition. You know what? I might move those to the cart. At least get some of Flash Gordon. Now, is that the DVD? Oh, I get the whole thing of Flash Gordon here, but I don't, like I said, the soundtrack's a little pricey. Won't wait on that, but yeah, that's what I'm talking about the four pillars, I guess, of the four corners of my movie stuff is the soundtrack, DVD, storybook, the novelization, you know, and then other peripherals. So here's the storybook for Crawl, novelization. Goes into my other stuff that I got here is my Moorcock novels for Stormbringer, but yeah. So I might pull the trigger on some of this stuff. I just gotta, again, you know, I'm not rich by any stretch of the means, so I gotta watch my spending on this stuff because, you know, even all these little $5-10 here, you know, you do that 3 or 4 times a week. You know, at the end of the week you spent, you know, $100. You know. And you're like, well, I can't do that every week. You know, it's $400 a month. You know, you're spending on stuff. So my action figures collection has come to a screeching halt for the most part. The only thing at the end of this month, Snake Mountain will ship from Amazon, and I think I canceled a lot of the other stuff. I got maybe 1 or 2 more items left for this year. You know, probably about $200 left total after Snake Mountain, so about $300 stuff left for the year. I'm done. There's nothing I really want that much, and the prices have just gone through the roof. I'm looking at this record here. It's like, oh, $27 for this record. I think I can get it for 25 on Amazon. But even still, it's like that's the price of one Marvel Legends or one Star Wars Black Series. We don't really collect anymore, or one DC Multiverse. It's just like the action figures are nice, but they just sit there. I can look at them, sure. But at the end of the day, I can't really do much with them. Soundtrack I can listen to, listen to it repeatedly, and I can keep going back to it. A movie I can watch the movie over and over again. The books I can read the books over and over again. I can do something with them. With the action figure, I don't play with my toys. I don't. Sure, I might pose them, and then put them back on the shelf. But I mean, some of the ones I don't want to grab Darkstar because she's going to fall over again. But I guess some of them I can use for drawing. If I need, a model or see what way a costume piece looks on a character I'm specifically drawing for a comic book. So I guess I can, in that regard, I guess I can have some of them on tap here to use. But by and large, I think I'm done with the action figure stuff. I had my fun with it. I said 2020 I got into it. It's now 2023. I've had 4 years of fun with it. I think it might be time to hang up unless something comes out that just knocks my socks off. That's just it's a great deal, a great price, which I don't see happening. I don't think I'm gonna keep going with the action figure stuff. Like I said, I can get these books. I can get all this stuff. If I either had it as a kid or I wanted it as a kid, and I can get some of that stuff, and these also take up a lot, shelf space can be a commodity at times, but sometimes, but it also stores a lot easier, stuff like that. So, but I do like to have physical media. I mean, sure, you can stream this stuff, and sure, you can do all that stuff, but I like to physically have the physical media. For a while I said I didn't. I thought to myself, oh, here, I'm going to put myself back on. I'll do my closing thoughts. Closing thoughts with Jack Handy. I don't know if you remember what that is from Saturday Night Live, but it wasn't closing thoughts. It was it Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy. What was I saying? Oh yeah, physical media. For a while I thought, oh, I can get all this stuff on digital, and then I started finding, that's why I got a lot of CVRs and PDFs and AVI files or MP5 files or whatever, or even music files, and I had all this stuff stored on external hard drive, and I thought that at the time I had a pretty big external hard drive, and I've got a couple of them now, and that stuff takes up a lot of space on those. I mean, it's obviously it's not. But it's just, I got this black box, It's like whip-de-doo-dah. Here, I'll show you if I can pull one up here. Yeah, there's a one of external drive. It's just like, okay, I've got this little black box that has everything on it. I could put my entire comic book collection on my tablet. I could put all my movies and comics and magazines and books and everything, and I could store it all on my tablet and take it on the go. And I just have one thing I can call up everything. I thought the Star Trek world would be cool. It's like, oh, you got all this stuff on digital files. It's stored in the memories of these computers, and they can pull it up on these tablets and stuff. And I thought, that's so cool. But now that we're living in that age, I don't like it. I'd rather have the physical media. I like having the covers to look at. I like having things on a shelf. I like, especially old things. And I like to be able to smell the book. I like that. That makes me a lot more happy than this cold digital, collection of. And it doesn't seem like I really have anything, And not that I want an endless amount of junk. As you can see, my room here isn't totally filled with tons of junk, but at the same time, sort of is. Don't get me started on that closet. I mean, I got my clothes and all my other stuff in there, but on the top shelf, it is filled to the brim, to the very top, with empty boxes for action figures I haven't even opened yet. Again, that's when I want to stop that that addiction, you know, and it just takes up that. I mean, I could use that whole top of that closet to store other things, but it's got just a bunch of junk. My bed lifts up, and I've got, you know, I'm not gonna lift it up, but so this is a platform bed. This is where I sleep right here, and it has a frame, but the supports on the inside, because it's a cheap. I think my sister got it for me as a gift on like overpriced.com or whatever that is, overstock.com, and the middle support, you know, I weigh kind of a lot of them. I'm a big guy, and the middle support just totally died, like within the first 6 months of the bed, just snapped. It was just cheap, so instead I put my mattress and I use as the platform part of the bed. It fits exactly 9 storage containers. You know, those big 10-gallon storage containers, or 12-gallon, whatever they are. It fits exactly 9 of them. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a grid, and you set a mattress on it. It's a perfect platform, and it seems to be evenly distributed to where it doesn't crush the plastic, so it keeps the contents inside, stays pretty safe. And that whole thing is that's just storage for me. I store, you know, I've got everything in there. I mean, I've got most of my books and media and stuff I've got on shelves, but I've got a lot of overflow in there, action figure stuff, you know, Christmas ornaments for Christmas stuff, Halloween stuff, you know, seasonal stuff that I have nowhere else to store in this tiny apartment, so I throw it under that bed. So, just in case you're wondering, yes, that is my bed. Not that it's a big deal, but, you know, I cordoned off this room. I can't use it as a tax write-off because it's technically you have to have at least a 2-bedroom apartment to tax write off your home office. But my home office starts here, which is right where the bed is, and it goes all the way back. And with the exception of that nightstand, and obviously my hi-fi stereo system and stuff, which, you know, I would put in my office anyways, that's my office. I think I measured it. I think it's 12 by 6 by 12, or 6 by 10. I think it's 12. I think this room's 12 as far as this way. So 6 feet by 12 is my my office, and the rest of it's my bedroom. So that's what you kind of have to do when you're working from home and you got a home office and you don't have a second bedroom. Because if I had a second bedroom, my son would be in the second bedroom, and it'd be his room. Or it would still be his bedroom. Yeah. But this one's good enough for now. You know, I always thought I probably still could do a tiny home, but it would have to be a little bit bigger because this apartment's 600 square feet, and there's no real storage. So, you know, going to the tiny home would be my tiny home would be probably a not so tiny home, but I'd like to have one. That'd be cool. Anyways, I'm getting off topic, so let me wrap this video. So we did Last Starfighter. I'll probably do some of the other movies. I'll pepper them in. I don't like to do one topic over and over again for a few days. I like to pepper in my comics, you know, my toys, my albums and stuff like that, and just kind of go. So I guess this channel's kind of turning into just my collection of stuff, you know, and things that I like, you know, that I talk about. Like I said, it's not just toys. You know, I'm not trying to, get a bunch of clicks by having a bunch of different topics. It's just I'm into a lot of different things. You know, I've seen other people online too. It's like, you know, you can't just be into one. I'm not just into music. I'm not just into comic books. I'm not just into toys. I'm not just into books. You know, I'm into everything. I mean, it all kind of plays on itself. Like I was saying, you know, even music, it all kind of ties in. You know, art, you know, all of that stuff. Pretty much everything but sports and what else do dudes like? Sports and cars, I guess. I mean, it's really not really. I used to be a car guy. I'm kind of, you know, I don't even have a functioning car now, so it's how not of a car person I'm into. I like more bikes. More into bikes. You know, so I've got a bike, and I guess I could do bike but my bike tastes are also all over the place and weird and esoteric and strange and probably not the bike video that bike people would actually want to watch. But anyways, so yeah, all right, let's stop it there. So I will catch you. This is probably a Friday video, so you won't see one until Monday, and who knows what it's going to be. I got stuff coming in the mail this week, so I'm sure some of it I'm going to use for videos. I know I got the rest of those Maiden albums that I showed you I ordered. I've got what else? I got some books. I got those John Carter books coming. I've got is that pretty much all the media stuff that I have coming? I got one, not really an action figure, but like a statue. I got one coming too. I might do a video on that because that'll open up a whole video about a whole different topic. I might do that one as well. So yeah, I got a few things coming that I'll probably be talking about here fairly shortly. So tune back in for that. In the meantime, subscribe, please. You know, I got to get this thing off to grow. And we're growing, but not super fast. I mean, you know, it'd be nice when I hit 100 subscribers. Obviously 1,000. I'm hoping it gets that big. You know, it'd be nice. It'd be great to turn this into another revenue stream, but right now it's not. Right now this is literally just me having fun, you know, and doing this as a hobby itself. So this hasn't become a profession. Like I said, my profession is still doing the comics, but it'd be nice to be able to branch out and have some more lines in the water. You know, extra side hustles always help so I can buy more stuff to fit into the apartment that I can't fit anything into. I can't see myself striking at that rich. I don't think I'm good looking enough, or have a soothing voice, or really doing anything that's gonna net me 3 million views. Be able to have Mr. Beast money or something like that. It'd be nice to even have. It'd be nice to make like $100 a month. And YouTube would be nice. It'd be an extra $100. I could use that right there. That could pay for some stuff, and of course I would turn around and use it for the videos. So I'll be tax write-offs anyways. But yeah. So subscribe if you want. I guess I won't beg you to do it. It seems pretty pathetic. So I'm not gonna beg you to subscribe, but I just want to keep bringing that up. Subscribe, just in case you forgot that it's a thing on YouTube where you subscribe. So all right. I'll let you go here. All right, talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.